like it shouldn't be this hard.
Problem is you're trying to force it. Straight up. You're trying to force it.
Okay, but how?
When you're dealing with your own life, when you're dealing with your own goals, it's easy to have that perseverance to say, I'm going to get this done because I want this and I deserve this. Cool. But when you're dealing with a grown man who got his own choices to make, who already made certain choices that created him into the version of himself that he is today, and it's just not working between the two of you, but you're going to continue to strive and try to override this man's free will, at that point, you're forcing it. The truth is, y'all are not on each other's level. More specifically, he's not on your level for what you're trying to accomplish and all that you've invested into yourself. You have to understand, as a growth-oriented woman, a stagnant man can't do nothing for you but piss you off. He can't do nothing for you, and it's not to bash him. Honestly, it's a lose-lose. If you're trying to force a relationship with a stagnant man, both of y'all are going to lose in the end. By the way, I'm on social media now, so don't say no names.
Okay,
but real quick, I want y'all to tell me if I'm speaking facts or if I'm lying. Because I'm not your expert or guru to tell you what to do. I'm your big brother. I'm going to let you do what you want to do, but I'm going to tell you the truth about what's going to happen. If you try to continue forcing this relationship with this man who is unequally yoked with you on every level, mentally, emotional intelligence-wise, in terms of his goals, his ambition, his character, first thing that's going to happen is you're going to be overcome with a lot of frustration. You're going to constantly be frustrated to the point where you're not even attracted to him the same no more. You're going to start seeing him differently. Now, you may have the composure to keep that from expressing in a relationship. More than likely, at some point, you're going to get tired of holding back and you're going to start saying stuff that you wouldn't normally say. You're going to start pulling away from him. Whereas you probably normally are a much more connected person. You want to be touchy-feely. You want to be affectionate. It's going to be very difficult for you to be affectionate with a man who constantly frustrates you. Even if he's never done anything to break your heart and hurt you, embarrass you, anything like that, the frustration will hack away at the intimacy by way of hacking away at your desire for that intimacy. Again, your attraction, your romantic feelings, your fond feelings. The second thing that's going to happen is, if you try to keep dating this man that you're unequally yoked with, is you're going to experience a lot of exhaustion. Y'all let me know in the comments. Am I tripping? You try to date a man who's not on your level. At some point, you're going to get so exhausted because it's going to feel so weird being with a man who's not only currently not on your level in many areas that he needs to be, but it's going to be so weird to you that you're going to try and pull him up, try to pull him along. And again, just like the frustration, you're going to be explaining every little thing to him. You're going to be holding back what energy you could be investing into yourself, into your own goals, into your own trajectory. You're going to be investing that into just like, man, trying to bring him along, close the gap. Because every time you even go around your friends, it's almost going to be like a latent feeling of embarrassment. Like, you're going to get exhausted. You're going to need to go to sleep earlier at night. Y'all be thinking y'all iron loaded. The real thing is you with a dude who not on your level. And there's too much of your time and energy spent trying to close that gap. For somebody, honestly, the gap should have been so wide you never even got into a relationship with him to begin with. But you're going to feel a lot of exhaustion if you try to keep dating this man that you're unequally yoked with. The third thing that's going to happen is you're going to overextend into your hyper masculine energy. You're going to overextend. We all have some feminine, some masculine, but women are supposed to be a majority of the times in their feminine energy. That means your softness, your emotional connectedness, your intuition, your receptiveness. But if you're dealing with a man that you are frustrated with all the time, you're dealing with a man that you can't trust. And if you're dealing with a man that you can't trust, you're going to feel like you got to be the one to set the tone, to think black and white, not about your emotional well-being or, all the other things that aren't tangible that a woman can sense that a man can't. But you're going to feel like you got to be the one that's going to be more assertive, that's going to make the decisions. You're going to be into your hyper masculine, which has a very thin line between that and mommy mode. More specifically, kind of like single mommy mode. The one that has to do everything, ain't got no help. That's what it's going to feel like. You don't have any help. So you're going to constantly be headed towards survival mode. But again, it's a lose-lose. You try to date a man that's unequally yoked with you. He's not on your level. You're not only not getting no golden star, no cookie, or no pat on the back for settling, you're going to piss him off too. But here's what he's going to experience. He's going to experience a need to be competitive with you. And I'm not saying like competitive and like friendly competition or anything like that. I'm talking about competitiveness in the form of downplaying your accomplishments, A lot of y'all be thinking, oh, well, y'all be thinking, oh, I tell him what I'm interested in. I told him, how I just started making more money, or how I'm about to graduate, or how I'm doing this, that, and the other, how I lost 10 pounds. And he barely even gave me any congratulatory praises. He act like he didn't even care. Maybe he's just not into this kind of thing. Nah, he's competitive. The more you ascend, the more that you grow, the more he can feel you outgrowing him, the more pissed off at you that he gets. Now, a man in his healthy masculine energy is going to feel some level of indignation. He's going to feel some level of discomfort if you are soaring ahead and doing your thing and he's not. But instead of that turning into something that's got to be an attack against you, it's going to turn into something that drives him to be even better. But when you're dealing with a man who's unequally yoked, you really are further cultivating. As he get closer and closer to your greatness and your evolution, you're cultivating your biggest hater. Y'all be thinking that your biggest hater is the girl at your job and the whatever girl that's trying to steal your style or whatever. And the whole time you be laid up with your number one hater. He supposed to be your number one cheerleader. You trying to be his. Whole time you got a whole rival that you share a bed with every night. Because y'all are unequally yoked and he can feel the distance, but without being in his healthy masculine core, he's going to do the wrong thing with that. Now, very similar, another thing that he's going to experience is a lot of insecurity. Y'all ever been with a guy and he was just so fearful of how you were going to hurt him, or, he all these insecurities, right? And you were like, where's this coming from? Because one, this wasn't here in the very beginning. Two, I've done nothing to aggravate any insecurities. So where's this coming from? A lot of times it's coming from the fact that he can see your greatness and he can see where you're going and he can see that he ain't coming with you. And again, instead of doing something to change that on his own, by his own personal conviction, he starts to express it in the form of insecurities. Oh, you think you so smart. That little passive aggressive stuff. Oh, you think you all that. Oh, here we go again using big words. Oh, you want to have all the money, huh? Thinking because you got money, you going to do. Whole time, you ain't thinking nothing about these things. It may be at a point in a relationship you haven't even realized or come to admit the disparity between you two in terms of your growth and development, but he sees it, he senses it, and it's going to aggravate his insecurities. That's what he's going to feel, a ton of insecurities. And what that's going to create is a ton of criticism on his end. He's going to get very critical. Every little thing that you do is going to be wrong. A lot of times when you're dealing with a guy and he finds something to pick at, it's because he's trying to even the scale. I talked about this a couple of days ago. He's trying to even the scale. He's trying to humble you. He's trying to bring you down. And again, it may not even be on his conscious mind that that's what he's doing, but he can feel that something ain't right. Instead of being accountable and saying, well, maybe this woman is a reflection of what I could be if I had the same work ethic, if I had the same drive. He says, well, you must be doing this, that, and the other. There's got to be something wrong with you. There's something wrong, but there's got to be something wrong with you. This all comes from trying to date a man or be in a relationship with a man that's unequally yoked with you. I say leave him behind. Leave him behind, sis. Like that's not a bash on men. You're going to save y'all both the trouble. Because whenever you try to bring him along and, lift him up, but he ain't trying to lift himself up, you're ignoring the fact that that man's potential is not his path. You're looking at potential. But the problem with women that have vision, the problem with women that have all of this growth-oriented mindset and progressive mindset is that you're looking at another person's potential through the lens of your values. Through the lens of your character, how you would handle all the ability and time and opportunity that man got that's across from you. But he ain't got your values. He ain't got your heart. He ain't got your drive. So that potential is potential, but it's going to be wasted potential. But instead of looking at the man's potential, look at the man's path. Again, I'm not saying he got to be right there with you in terms of money. He got to be right there with you in terms of education, intelligence, competence in any type of way. He ain't got to be right there on the same level. But if he's going one direction, you going the other, what do you think is going to happen? There's either going to be this big clash or he's going to bring you down. Why? Because negativity weighs more than positivity. That's just the gravity of life. It's quite a parallel. But when the Bible talks about not dating somebody unequally yoked, it ain't just talking about religion. A lot of people think it's just religion. But God is basically saying, like, if y'all can't end up at any one destination if y'all are going two completely different directions. Y'all can take a different route to the same destination, but at the end of the day, you have to be willing to walk with somebody who is equally yoked with you and be willing to walk away from good when it's not good enough. Straight up. You got to be willing to, because when you're dealing in relationships as an adult, I'm talking about past the age of 25, you're not just looking for a romantic partner anymore. You're not looking for somebody to have sex with. He could be your homie. He could be your friend, because you can have a friend for a certain purpose, right? One that you go and, hang out with, one that you talk about deep stuff with, one that you laugh with, one that's got your back if you ever get into some trouble. Like, you can have a different purpose, but when you're talking about relationships, you're talking about a life partner. You're talking about somebody to do life with. And if you have this misplaced optimism on this guy's potential, then you try to do life with him, it's going to end up feeling like a life sentence. It's going to end up feeling like a life sentence. Not only that, you're going to position yourself to be a prime target for manipulators, which is what we're going to talk about, matter of fact, in the next podcast or the live podcast. So make sure that you check your email, because I'm going to send that link out. Why manipulators choose women like you is the name of it. But this is one of the things. When you have all of this optimism, what you guys can do together, what he could be, if only he would see himself the way that you see him, have the drive, have the experiences, have gone through the things that you've gone through that made you who you are, then yeah, sure. But that's not the world that we live in. So you got to look at that man's reality, not his potential. And you gotta assess his path. Where are you really trying to go? Not only can he help you get there, but can he even go with you without trying to bring you down so that he feels more comfortable and more sufficient as a man?
That makes so much
sense. 1 second. So those of y'all that want to hop on the next podcast we're going to do in the Self-Crown Inner Circle, enrollment is now open. Matter of fact, free enrollment. Just comment the word free. I'll send you a link so you can get in on the next podcast. I want to hear y'all thoughts. I'm actually going to go back in the comments, and you should too, because a lot of people have gone through the exact same thing that you're going through now. But with that being said, I'm your big brother trying to look out per usual. Share this with somebody on your timeline if you or somebody that you know needs to hear this message. Share this right now.